this.
Are you saying there's a mole in our organization? I think it's Kimberly Johnson. That's what I think.
Boy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
So, Bob, what's your take on yesterday? I think it's all good news for us. It's just there. Talk about, Republicans in disarray. Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what is going on? I mean, and who was it? Oh, the Trump endorsed crazy candidate in Idaho lost to the other crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always fun to watch the Republican primaries in Trump world, right? I'll be interested to see the contesting of the ballot counting and so on in Pennsylvania with this Dr. Oz race up there. But you know what? The universe takes away Madison Cawthorn and gives us Doug Mastriano, who is nuts. Let's just be clear about this. This guy is absolute bananas. Yeah. January 6th guy, even though he didn't technically invade the Capitol with the rest of them. But yeah, on top of that, he wants to throw out, we learned this today, he wants to throw out all 8.5 million registered voters in Pennsylvania.
He wants everyone to have to re-register in Pennsylvania. I mean, he, first of all, he supported the efforts to overturn so I'm just saying, he could be someone that's indicted. He was part of the effort to overturn the election in Pennsylvania. He was there January 6th at the insurrection. And by the way, here's the good news, Bob. The Cook Political Report has moved November's general election from toss-up to lean Democrat in light of Mastriano's win. So
nice.
I think,
I like
but again, Bob, what do you say? Don't get happy.
Don't get
turn
happy.
out, turn out. Like, we got it. Fetterman, just crushed the primary on our side, but we got to turn out in those numbers in November.
Well, just, torn from the headlines, Mastriano also supports banning all abortions in Pennsylvania from the moment of conception without any exceptions. No exception for rape, incest, health of the mother, any of that stuff. That's off the table with Doug Mastriano. He is a wingnut of the highest order. He belongs nowhere near Harrisburg. Other than as a tourist, maybe. But who wants to tour Harrisburg? Sorry, Harrisburg, but I don't want to be a tourist in Harrisburg.
If you want democracy, fair elections, women's rights, to have women have bodily autonomy, and our manifesto not be the Buffalo Shooters manifesto. The choice couldn't be clearer in this midterm as to what we're voting for.
And what's the thing standing between us and a maniac like Doug Mastriano? The Democratic Party. And no matter how much we like to think that we're not disciples of one party or another or whatever, that we don't endorse, the party establishment or whatever we're accused of doing, the fact is that electoral politics, it's either one or the other. And so we either organize and activate to defeat this guy and humiliate him in November, or suddenly he's the governor of Pennsylvania and he's banning all abortions and eliminating every voter registration card in the entire state.
Bob, I was just thinking is that in the face of literally the loss of all of our rights and democracy itself and, a white supremacist theocracy, I didn't even remember that Fetterman was a Bernie guy and, Connor Lamb was considered more the moderate centrist corporate Dem or whatever, people call. I don't even care. I thought I loved the way Fetterman, fought in Pennsylvania against the big lie. And I think he seems authentic. I'm glad he's, by the way, I have a friend that had a pacemaker put in years ago and it's actually a good thing. It's what it hopefully keeps you healthy. So anyway, I'm all in rooting for Fetterman. And Hillary is currently circling my nipple. I mean, I'm.
Must you?
But he's good for him. He's more. He's from
He's
from the progressive wing. He's Medicare for all. I'm like all in on Fetterman. I'm like, I just think we cannot have any of those divisions on our side.
Plus, he's a bulldog. I mean, he's one of these kind of guys who can absolutely win in Pennsylvania. I hate to get too Chris Matthews about Fetterman, but he's kind of a Chris Matthews. He really is kind of a Chris Matthews.
Look how a guy.
Chris Matthews fawning over this guy. Yeah. But I mean, my one qualification here, well, it's actually two qualifications, but they're kind of enjoined. As long as they're not a con man, as long as they're not linked to Russia in some way, and as long as they can defeat the Republican, I don't care who it is or who they're aligned with on the Democratic side. My main interest is, defeating, not just defeating, but humiliating the Republicans, and especially the Trump Republicans in November. That needs to be our entire national goal for all of us who are on the normals side of the equation.
Well,
I can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah, you said it. You tweeted, Bob, if the American culture truly rose up and activated, we might get 1, a medical privacy amendment, 2, a ban on private campaign financing amendment. Polls indicate a supermajority support both policies, ripe for conversion into votes and amendments, long-term goals. You also said, P.S., I once convinced my Fox News watching dad to support a ban on private campaign financing. It can be done. Yeah. And somebody, real quick, on Twitter, Frank tweeted, if every registered voter voted in every election, Democrats would win every single time. There is no excuse for us to ever lose. We are the majority.
Yeah, why not aim high? Why not aim to codify some of these things that we believe as a constitutional amendment? As long as the Supreme Court is stacked with these Trump appointees, as long as they're going to be pulling the rug out as far as personal rights and liberties go, then I think we need to shoot for something like constitutional amendments to get these things codified, because the alternative is, I don't know if you're aware of Fox News guy and talk show host Mark Levin, but Mark Levin, the talking adenoid.
He loves me. Yes.
Yeah, got great voice for radio.
Yeah. He's the male Laura Ingraham.
Yeah,
yes, go ahead.
Exactly.
That's right. So the talking head cold, Mark Levin. Mark Levin has this list of things called the Liberty
talking
Amendments.
Adenoid.
Yeah, there are 10 amendments that are supported by Trump voting Republicans.
Yeah.
And they're working toward ratifying those amendments. They want to get enough state legislatures in their back pocket to be able to do this, maybe without Congress. There are several ways to ratify a constitutional amendment, I think 4 ways. And they have these amendments planned. So it's either us or them at this point, as far as gaining enough state legislatures to start making some serious permanent changes to how things operate in this country. Campaign finance is a big one. Medical privacy, obviously, since the last couple of weeks, too.
You talked a lot about unintended consequences, Bob, both on your show and on Twitter. You said it looks like IVF clinics will have to shut down in all states that define life as beginning at fertilization. Louisiana, for example, codified this definition plus murder charges. I assure you, nearsighted Trump loyalist couples will fall into this trap, one they helped set. I mean, I think when this reality of this sinks in, it is going to add, I think, to the blue tsunami in November.
Yeah. They're thinking in terms of this fantasy idea of America, and they're about to get clobbered with the reality of what they've been asking for all this time.
Yeah. And you also, at least Stefanik, tweeted, Joe Biden continues to put America last by shipping pallets of baby formula to the southern border. You just said 3.5 million American children are homeless. Stefanik has voted against programs like SKIP and WIC that would help alleviate the crisis because bootstraps, etc. But now she's demanding a big government solution like the conservative she is. Make up your mind, Miss Stefanik. Isn't that exactly it? Chris was
In fact,
that.
Chris tweeted something like that the other day. I love the Republicans who want Joe Biden to handle everything and take care of all the problems.
Exactly.
And, the small government Republicans.
Anita in San Antonio said the loudest Americans demanding POTUS fix all our problems resulting from our capitalist economy are the same people hysterically calling Joe Biden a socialist.
That's right.
LOL.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. Yeah. And
also, speaking of the party of violence, you said for years now I've been collecting videos of GOP campaign ads in which the candidate shoots legislation he hates, the tax code, the ACA, etc. The message shooting at a problem is a valid solution. Maybe it's not video games. Maybe it's the example set by political leaders. Thank you.
Yeah. That's what there's such a leader-disciple dynamic right now on the Republican side, and it's no wonder this happens in Buffalo, where you've got to, instead of having a debate of words and votes like you're supposed to do in a democracy, it's now let's utterly physically destroy our political enemies here, and that's what we've seen time and time again in these commercials. I collected, 7, 8 of them with top-ranking Republicans, some who ran for office and lost, but shooting things like, figuratively, critical race theory, all these. There was one ad, I think, from a few months ago where there was a Republican shooting Democratic leadership, literally in the setting of an Old West shootout.
We have to close with the Bob Cesca supplied nerd. Guess the quote. Are you ready?
Yes.
This is supplied by nerd Bob Cesca, who said diversity contains as many treasures as those waiting for us on other worlds. We find it impossible to fear diversity and to enter the future at the same time. Who said that?
Adam Ant.
No, Gene Roddenberry. He's
Gene Roddenberry. Yeah.
Who said the glory of creation is in its infinite diversity?
Elroy Jetson.
No, Spock.
Oh.
Nerd version of.
Good guess.
Who said we must learn not to accept differences between ourselves and our ideas, but to enthusiastically welcome and enjoy them? Who said that?
Pixie and
No,
or Dixie.
Gene Roddenberry.
Oh.
He's in a
Gene
Star Trek
Roddenberry.
nerd frenzy for some.
Yeah.
Oh, I know
How
because
could you get all those wrong?
I would have gotten them, Bob.
because Fox News says Star Trek writers take Starship where it's never gone before, woke politics, and you were like,
Oh
no,
my God.
the whole idea of Star Trek was diversity.
Yes.
You idiots.
That is the dumbest take. That is the dumbest take. It's like saying, "Oh, Star Wars is nothing but a cowboy movie." Yeah, well, of course it is. That's what.
I just love a
How
nerd,
could you get
in a
so?
a nerd in
Yeah.
a Batman shirt
So
talking about Star Trek.
angry. So angry.
Yes, you said Roddenberry's entire point for creating Star Trek was to illustrate inclusiveness, equality, and tolerance, woke politics, or whatever the racist morons who clearly never understood Star Trek are calling it. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm beginning to think I was trolled with that because the writer of that Fox News piece, his name was David Marcus, who happens to also be the name of a character in one of the Star Trek
Oh, my
movies,
God.
Captain Kirk's son.
You're a more
in
easily
Wrath of
owned
Khan.
lib than I am, for God's sake.
I think so.
All right.
I think I'm.
We're
a
super
sucker,
late.
yeah.
I love you. I love you. I love you.
Okay,
Mwah.
bye-bye.
Bob Cesca
Bye-bye.
Show. Subscribe.